In this video, I'm going to introduce you to the single most fundamental concept in this entire course, and that is the major scale. But before I begin, I want to talk about one thing, which is in the last video, I could imagine that learning all the names of all these intervals might have been overwhelming. There are a lot of intervals, and you don't have to memorize all of this stuff. I certainly don't expect you to memorize all this stuff. And so what we're going to do in this video is we're going to hone in on just two of these intervals. We're going to hone in on the half step and the whole step. One half step is, well, we've already talked about half steps. A whole step is two half steps, all right? Why do we care about half steps and whole steps? Well, they are the two smallest intervals in music, and with these two intervals, we can construct the major scale. What is the major scale? The major scale is a sequence of notes that you have heard of before, and it sounds like this. Starting on any note, do, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. That is the major scale. The cool thing about the major scale is that I can pick any note, like any one of these notes here, and call it do. So I don't know what note that was that I just started on, but I think it was do, and then I could start on do if I wanted to. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. In fact, I have a little pitch pipe here. Let's check it out. So here's the note. Here's do starting on A. Do, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Now here's starting on B flat. Or here's B flat. A, B, do, 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 re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Here's B. Do, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So you can see do is movable, and wherever I move do, the distance between do and re stays the same, and the distance between re and mi stays the same. And that is the cool thing about the sequence of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So if I called A do, and then I plunk around my piano, and I'm like, where is re? If this is do, do, re. If I plunk around, I'm going to find that B is re. And if I keep plunking around, I could fill out the entire scale, and it would look like this, where I would land on do, of course being the same note that I started on A. All right, that's pretty nice. Now, because I'm a math person, instead of calling it do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, I'm going to call it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1. And I'm going to write them here. By the way, this do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do thing, you might have heard of that before. It's called solfege. That is the solfege system. And now I'm going to talk about the degree system, where the degree is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So we're talking about scale degrees now. So here we have it. This is the A major scale. This is the A major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. The first degree of A major is A. The second degree is B. The third degree is C sharp. The fourth degree is D. The fifth degree is E. The sixth degree is F sharp. The seventh degree is G sharp. And the first degree is, of course, back to A. All right, very good. Now I want to know, what is the distance between 1 and 2? And what's the distance between 2 and 3? Well, let's talk about it. So between 1 and 2, that is a whole step. So from 1 to 2, that's a whole step. What about from 2 to 3? From 2 to 3, that's also a whole step, because I take one half step and another half step, and I get myself to 3. That's a whole step. From 3 to 4, that's a half step. From 4 to 5, another whole step. From 5 to 6, another whole step. From 6 to 7, another whole step. From 7 to 1, another half step. And so with this, I have just constructed myself the formula for the major scale. I pick any starting note I want. Like I could pick this as a starting note, call it C. I could start here, and I would go over whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step, and I would find myself the C major scale. And you notice that, let's make this a little bigger, let's make this here, that the distances, basically like if I had just taken this and copied and pasted it right here, the numbers would be in exactly the same boxes as those X's. So it really is truly a formula. The A major scale is right here, and looks like right here what I've done is I've constructed the C major scale. The scale, exactly the same thing starting on the letter C. So the C major scale has a C, a D, an E, an F, a G, an A B, and then back to C. So now you can imagine that I just take this exact formula and I could copy and paste it to start on every single note, and lo and behold, I would find myself with every single one of the major scales. Yep. And then let's make this pretty. So that was fast. I just learned every single note in every single major scale, from A to B flat to B, C, D, blah, 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 blah. All right. Now here's a really interesting question. Wouldn't it be fun to build a table that just has every single one of these written out, but not with numbers, but instead with letters? And so I could create that table like this with some spreadsheet magic. Instead of making this 1, I want to call it A. And so I'm going to set that cell equal to this. And then I'm going to copy and paste that formula everywhere. And so all that formula thing that I just did was I said, great, in any cell, like if I copied and pasted that formula here, it says, okay, great, go to this row, and then whatever value that is, bring it into this cell. So like if I bring it here, whoops, if I bring it here, it takes whatever the value is in this cell and it brings it here. So if I just copy and paste that everywhere, looks like I just found myself all the major scales. Okay, let's look at, just as an example, let's look at D major. So the D major scale is D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D. Yep, it sure is. Okay, now I know the formula that I just put in here works a little bit faster than the way we think, and so like there's definitely no way that having just done this, it's like voila, now you know every single major scale. No, it's not committed to memory, and so that's okay. But the point of this exercise was simply to demonstrate that the major scale is a formula, and the distances between any scale degree in the A major scale is the same as the distances between any scale degree in the B flat major scale or the C major scale, because all I did was I just copied and pasted the exact same formula to start on whatever note that major scale started on. When you play these scales on the actual piano, it doesn't look quite as formulaic because you're having to negotiate the up and down between the black and the white notes. But when you flatten the piano out like this, then you can really see it actually just is this simple. It's just these formulas. So really, that's one of the reasons why this is just such a powerful idea. Now imagine that what I did was I took all of these things. I'm going to not touch the stuff in here, but imagine I took all of this and I pasted it somewhere over here. And then I started doing this kind of thing where I just started lining up all the major scales so that by the end of this exercise I could line all of the first notes of the scale here, all the second notes of the scale here, third notes here, and so on. And I could scrunch it together and put it into a table. Well, I'm not going to go through that exercise in the video. I've already done it. And here it is. Here is that table. So here we have, for instance, the B major scale has a B, C sharp or D flat, D sharp or E flat, E, and so on, all the way up through, again, the repetition of B at the top. So now the question is, what do you do with these notes that are questionable? Like you got A, B, and then is this a C sharp or is it a D flat? Well, really, it's either or both, but there's a special law of writing scales, and that law says that you have to use one of every letter. Okay, so that makes the choice easy, and so we're going to go ahead and do that. In fact, I know this is going to be tedious, but we are in fact going to go through this entire exercise. So we have A, B, this is C sharp. Then we have D, E, this is F sharp, and this is going to be G sharp. Whoops, that should say G sharp. Okay. Now, why did I decide to call this the B flat major scale instead of the A sharp major scale? Like, isn't this the same as the A sharp major scale? So what would make me call it A sharp versus B flat? Well, let's look at it as the A sharp major scale just for a minute. Let's see what happens. So if this is A sharp, well, this next note had better be something with B. So C is the same thing as B sharp, right? And actually, let's just to verify, remember, like C is right here. We already talked about this in the previous video. Sharp just means go one up from whatever note I'm on. So if this is B, then this is B sharp, and it's the same thing as C. A, B sharp. D, well, I have an A here, I have a B here. This note had better be C something. And so what would that be? That would be C, not sharp. It would be C double sharp. And you're like, oh my God, can I do that? The answer is yes, you can. Technically, this is C triple sharp, this is C quadruple sharp. Sharp just means go up one, and you can do it as many times as you want. I mean, it sounds a little crazy to go double sharp, but sometimes it happens. That'd be C double sharp. And then, anyway, you get the picture. This is starting to get very complicated. A sharp, we have a B sharp, we have a C double sharp. Let's go back to the B flat major scale, and we'll just see if that's any simpler. If I call this B flat, then I get to call this C, which it truly is. It's a pure C, no sharps or flats. A C double sharp is a pure D, no sharps or flats. Oh, that's a lot better. Okay, now we get to call this E flat, F, G, A, and then B flat. And so by basically what you do when you're constructing all the major scales is you just pick the one that's the simplest to write. And so B flat is significantly simpler to write than A sharp. So we're going to just call it the B flat major scale. And the convention is to call it the B flat major scale. Now let's go to the B major scale. B, this had better be C sharp. This is going to be D sharp. E, this is going to be F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, and B. Now the C major scale. This one's already written for us. The C major scale is special because it has only the white notes, and so there are no sharps or flats in it. So isn't that nice? D flat major scale. All right, let's just go ahead and do it. So we got D flat. This has to be E flat, D, E, F. Now we're going to look at, this is going to be a G flat. This is A flat. This is going to have to be B flat, C, and then D flat. Very good. So we've used every letter just once, and we have the repetition of the D flat at the end. All right, D major scale. D, E, that's an F sharp. G, A, B, C sharp, D. E flat major scale is going to start on the E flat. Going to go F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D, E flat. Now E, this is going to be an F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp. Whoops, pardon me, that's going to be a D sharp, E. And you notice how, like, each one of these has the notes in perfect sequence. Of course it does, because you're going up just a whole step or a half step, and so you're just going to get to the next letter in the alphabet. So, like, you know, A, B, C, D, the repetition of the D here, E, F, G, or if I start over here, A, B, the repetition of the B, C, D, E, F, G. Anyway, you get the picture. So we have E flat, we have done E, now we're on to F, F, G, A, now we've got B flat, and we're done with that one. And I'm going to skip over this one because I'm going to come back to it and show you a thing. G major scale, everything is set except for this. We have D, E, this is going to be F sharp, and then the A flat is going to be A flat, B flat, C, D flat, E flat, F, G, A flat. And I've gone ahead and just saved us the trouble of figuring out which of the two is simpler. Like, I just, instead of having to go through A sharp or B flat and then C sharp or D flat, I just picked the one that's the convention. And so here we have all of the major scales except now for the F sharp major scale. What do we do about F sharp major? F sharp major is the only one where it doesn't actually matter which one you choose. You could call it F sharp major, you could call it G flat major. You're going to run into a hiccup either way. And let me show you what I mean by that. If we call it F sharp major, then you're going to get F sharp, you're going to get G sharp, you're going to get A sharp, B, C sharp, D sharp, and then, wait a minute, this had better be E something, because I've already used F. F is in the form of F sharp. So this F has to be E sharp. And if we go back and look at our piano, that is true. F is in fact E sharp. But if I had called it the G flat major scale, what would I have gotten? Well, this would have been G flat, this would have been A flat, this would have been B flat, this would have been not B, but actually it would have been C flat, which is just as annoying as E sharp. C flat is the same as B, right? And so, and then this would have been D flat, E flat. This would have become a true E, and would be, oh no, I'm sorry, it would be a true F, right? Because this was E sharp previously, and now it's becoming its true F form, and then this is going to be G flat. Anyway, so it doesn't matter if you choose G flat or F sharp. I think I refer to them interchangeably throughout these videos. I like to think about it. I think I prefer to think about it normally in G flat, but anyway, it really doesn't matter. So here you have it. There it is. This table may look a little bit intimidating right now, just because it's a bunch of letters, and if you're new to theory or if you don't know your scales yet, then it just seems a little overwhelming. And I really truly believe that you should not have to memorize anything as a musician. You just shouldn't have to memorize it. If a thing is in your memory, it's because you've practiced it so much that it's just in your fingers, and then it just like got committed to memory. So in other words, like I wouldn't think of these as like your times tables where it's like, let me sit in a room and just like stare at this and eventually commit this completely to memory. That being said, so I'm not going to tell you to do that, but that being said, if you were to do that, it would probably be a very useful thing. This table is the foundation of every other video that we're going to watch in this entire music theory course. The major scale is absolutely foundational. And so I recommend just staring at this for a while and maybe sitting at your piano and playing through these scales and just get to know their shapes, get to know what they look like. If you know the fingering of these scales, then get to know them in your fingers. Just try to become as familiar as you can with these 12 major scales, because oh my God, the possibilities for understanding music theory that this opens up for you are tremendous. And so, like I said, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do, but this is kind of like, if you're going to eat your vegetables, like this is it. Like you want this, you want to know this cold. So there you have it, the 12 major scales and a nice little table for you. And that is that. Now that we've learned about the major scale, let's just go ahead and play one. So we're going to play the A major scale, and we know that the notes are A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and A. And there's a proper way to actually play this, so I'm just going to go ahead and show you. You put your thumb on A, index finger on B, third finger on C sharp, and then you cross your thumb under. Okay, this is a cross under. So A, B, C sharp, cross under. D, second finger on E, third finger on F sharp, fourth finger on G sharp, and A. And when you do that, it really lets you fly. And if you were to play it in 2 octaves, you would cross under again here to the A. That sets you up. All right. There's a similar way for the left hand. I'll just go ahead and show you. This isn't really a technique video, but I wanted you to hear the A major scale so that your ear gets wrapped around it. So so there it is. That's the A major scale. You've got A, and just because we're here, why don't we play another one? So we're going to start on A note, and let's pick a random note. How about let's pick a hard one. Let's pick D flat. So D flat, and then we're going to use the major scale formula: whole step, half step, whole step, half step, to construct the major scale. So from here, 1 whole step, another whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So those notes were D flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C, D flat. Now listen to that sequence. That's the same thing as do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Or if I started here, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. So as I play both scales back to back, you can hear how the relationships between each of the notes is exactly the same no matter what note I start on. And so you can pick any note you want and play major scale based on that note. And then if you get them into your fingers, then that unlocks some crazy magic powers for you, which we're going to show you in a couple of the next videos.